Hey guys, RC Peck here with Fearless Wealth, and the question is, or maybe it's a prediction and a question, but it's a gold 2021 prediction, right? So predicting what's going to happen with gold in 2021, with the underlying question being, should I own gold in 2021? So what I want to do is I want to look at the price charts and have them tell us what's going on. Now, this video matters not just if you're going to buy gold. If you never buy gold, there's a lot of emotional aspects that I'm going to go over in this video. If you are thinking about buying gold or you own precious metals, whether it's silver or gold, then this video is going to really be of interest to you. And certainly if you bought it and sold it or have been in and out of it, this is going to kind of touch on a lot of the emotional parts of it. So let me jump over to the price charts and let's get this going. So here's a price chart of gold, and its old lifetime high is $1,900 right here. And then it took almost 10 years to get back to $1,900. So as soon as it broke above that 1,900 again, let me just put a stronger kind of support resistance, make it really big. Okay. So once it broke out to new lifetime highs, what's called supply came in, meaning people were supplying all their gold ounces and the price went below that 1,900. So it's an oops, it's a whipsaw, but that definitely pulled people in and then kicked them out. And we'll talk about this little whoops down here and this whoops up here. So it brought you in and then it kicked you out, and now gold is back above it. So the first thing is, should you own gold in 2021? Two things. One, you can only be long gold or neutral if it's above $1,900. So gold above $1,900 an ounce, you have to be bullish. You don't necessarily have to buy, but you can't be bearish on it. The other metric that I want you to be aware of is gold being above 1,800. And if you look at the screen, I'm changing my resistance area that back in 2011 and 2012, gold could not sustain itself above $1,800. It broke above it, couldn't sustain, couldn't get back above, couldn't get back above, couldn't get back above. Okay, and then in 2013, it really collapsed right here. We'll talk about this collapse in a minute. So the two numbers that are most important for gold price in US dollars, the one hard stop number is gold has to be above $1,800. Now, the interesting thing is it came to this 1,800, as you can see back here, it came here, it touched it, and more buyers came in. That's really bullish, meaning when the price dropped down to 18, more people came in to buy. So that's a pretty bullish sign right there. And with gold above $1,900, that is also bullish. So should you own gold in 2021? The answer is, first of all, I don't know whether you should own gold or not, okay? But if you're willing to put money in, you want gold above that 1,900 for sure, and 18 at a minimum, meaning if you bought it at 1,950, but it dropped down to 1,810, you could still possibly stay long in it, but just know once it starts closing below $1,800, it gets pretty dangerous. So that was a whipsaw, and I'm willing to bet that was a whipsaw. So we have this stock whipsawing at new lifetime highs. Now, during this time period, not historically, but during this time period, the commercial hedgers had a very big short position on gold. Not the biggest in history, but a pretty sizable short position. So going into mid 2020, gold took off and then literally hit like just a big thick wall, and it hit it at about $22,070. So now you're having another resistance. Really, the other resistance is now, because as things change, you want to change your opinion. So now the new resistance is everything in this yellow zone. It's still, look, it's bullish, but it's still kind of in no man's land. Investing is very emotional, and one has to be prepared to know when they're wrong and to know when they're right. And the best way to know whether you're right or wrong is to look at a price chart, right? And to know how to put in these horizontal resistance and support lines, which is the red thicker line right here. But emotionally, what happens is, and the story is just beginning. I mean, we're at the beginning of 2021. I'm talking and calling this, gold prediction 2021 to say, look, if it's above 1900, super positive. It's got work to do. It's still got to get above 2070, okay? Now, here's the emotional part. This was breaking down right here. Gold was breaking down while the stock market was breaking to new lifetime highs. And the reason this is important is because the last time the stock market broke to new lifetime highs was right here. And gold, I mean, I don't know if collapse is too big of a word for you, but gold really collapsed. You can see there was a lot of support resistance right at this $1,550, $1,600 range. And once it broke that, it really just, it fell pretty hard and kept going. So we know that when it has failed breakouts, it can fall fast. During this time period, the S&P was breaking out to new lifetime highs. During this time period, the S&P has broken out to new lifetime highs. In fact, it had two new lifetime highs. So you have two new lifetime highs that gold now is having to compete against. Now, but here's the thing, and here's the emotional part. If gold can break above and stay above and grow into higher highs while the stock market is growing into higher highs, it means only one of two, maybe three things. One, the stock market itself is going to go through a healthy correction. Doesn't mean it's going to collapse, but maybe it goes down 10, 15%. The market's kind of saying, you know what? The stock market's going to take a breaker, right? We're going to take a breather. It's going to take a break, and gold. So one idea is gold is signaling that the stock market itself is going to take a breather. Okay, now here's the thing with gold. We really still don't know yet because it did break to new lifetime highs, but then in August, September, October, November, December, for 5 months-ish, it fell. Now, not crazy fell. It fell 14%, and it's gotten back up. So it still has some resistance to get through, and this is major resistance it has to get through, considering it had a very significant sell-off. The emotional part is this isn't necessarily about whether you're buying gold, but as far as a prediction, the first few days of the year really matter because it sets the tone, right? And so what we have is the first few days right now with gold breaking higher. Now, by the way, Bitcoin is also breaking higher. Gold and Bitcoin are considered by many to be an alternative category. Some call it an alternative currency. But what you have is gold at about a $9+ trillion market cap and Bitcoin at a $600 billion market cap. Those two are starting to heat up right into the new year. So you want to also look at how they're doing relative to the stock market itself. You want both of those, right? Because it's not enough to just have something appreciating. You want it to be appreciating both. This is called an absolute price chart. And you also want it to be appreciating against the standard. And the standard is buying the S&P 500. And this is emotional, right? Because as soon as you buy something, you are biased, right? You want it to go higher. You don't want it to go lower. And if it does go lower, what happens for many people is they increase the hope that it's going to turn around, it's going to do well. And this gets to be a very expensive internal dialogue or internal monologue, right? The conversation you have with yourself, the conversation no one hears, can be the most lucrative conversation or the most expensive. And for most investors, that conversation no one ever hears except you, for most is the most expensive conversation they have. That's a very expensive community, a community of one, or them and their ego. That's a very expensive community to be part of. And that's the emotional part about this. When you're in a conversation with yourself, and as soon as you own something, you want it to go higher. And so you have to know when you're right and when you're wrong. And gold is just such a great example because it did break the $1,900 and then came right back through it. It did go right to $1,800. Buyers came in and went a little bit below $16 below, $15, $16 below. But guys, it's the same. And then it's higher. So it's going to be super interesting to see what happens with gold in 2021. My prediction, the fact that it hit 1,800 and it hit it on December 22nd, so it had calendar days 8 or 9 more calendar days of the year. Those are calendar days, not necessarily trading days. But from the 22nd until today, gold itself is up 8.6%. And I'm just actually curious. Let me just put in, I want to know what the stock market did from, let's just put SPY in. And I'm going to have to zoom in on that. So let me just do this, update, and I'm going to zoom way in because I want to look at what here, December 22nd, right there. So gold went up 4.6%, but really if this is the number, like this was actually November 30th. From November 30th until today, it is, I'm recording this on January 4th. So that is up 9.3%. And during the exact same time period, the S&P is up 2.4%. So let's call it 3.5 times better. Now you can see it's not broken above. There's lots of resistance. It still needs to figure out how to get through. But the emotional part of this is practicing detachment. And you can only practice detachment when you're in a community that is reminding you how to ask and what are the best questions to ask. But man, for 2021, gold starting off like this and gold consolidating, gold having a whipsaw above 1900 and then touching 18. I would say it has as many things going for it right now as it has against it. What was against it, and if things continue, was it breaking down when the S&P broke to new lifetime highs. If you look at the chart here down below, the S&P broke to new lifetime highs between those two blue lines, and then it broke to another new lifetime high between those two blue lines. So the two times the S&P broke to new lifetime highs from August 1st to the end of the year, gold absolutely took a hit. And it took a hit. Let me put on the bottom here. And it took a hit when the dollar was actually falling. So if we zoom in here, so there's pros and cons, and by you going through the pros and cons, that's going to help you practice detachment, which is going to help you understand and get clear about what emotions are coming up, because you don't want your emotions with their hands on the steering wheel. And we only have 4 emotions: mad, sad, glad, afraid. So you don't want the afraid emotion with its hands on the wheel driving your portfolio. But if you look here from August, where it peaked and stopped going up, you can see the US dollar below it actually fell 3.3%. In fact, it broke down right here. It broke down there. Gold at the same time did a little breakdown and then moved higher. So now the question is, with the dollar breaking below this support right here, was that what gold needed? And we're going to have to see, because like I say, gold is still down from its August. Let's see what that date is here. From its August 5th high, it's still down. It's down 6%. And so there's work for gold to do, but certainly this early in the year, and with New Year's comes, a clean slate. People thinking, let's get in. I see what's happening. I want to get my Bitcoin, or I want to get my gold, or I want to get my fill in the blank. And it happens in those early days, right, of the year for people establishing that position. And that's exactly what's happening with gold. So my prediction for gold, first of all, if it stays above 1800, it's still more bullish, because from an absolute point of view, even if it's underperforming the market, right, the overall market, on an absolute term, but the longer it stays above 1900, it's above 1900 right now as of this recording, 1946, but it's below that lifetime high of 2070. So it still has some work. Prediction: the longer gold stays above 1900, if it does not go back down and test, that means it is strengthening a springboard to move higher. If it breaks, again, the longer it stays above 1900, the stronger it's going to be. If it breaks that high of August, and again, that high was, let's call it 2070, it's going to want to move to 2,500 and then 3,000, especially if Bitcoin's doing well, because it's going to see other quote unquote alternative investments and it's going to want to do its big move and move right to $3,000, just like Bitcoin moved from 20,000 to 30,000, what feels like almost overnight. So guys, please, if you like this video, hit the like button, leave comments. I listen and read them all. And if you like this and you love these type of videos, please go ahead and check out the 2 videos at the end, because you're just going to love what's in those 2. Thanks so much, guys. Again, this is RC Peck with Fearless Wealth, and I will see you on the next video. Okay, bye.